Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So I did say last time I filmed a sit down vlog that I wouldn't be filming in here again, but here we are, lockdown's still not over, so I'm back in this room. So yes, you will be seeing me again in this room, and possibly even another one as well, depending on how long this all continues for. So as you will know, if you are a follower of my channel and you've seen other videos before, you will know that a few weeks ago my fiance and I booked a honeymoon to Walt Disney World, which is super exciting. Neither of us have been before, we're massive Paris fans, but we've never been to Florida. We've never been to Florida in any capacity, let alone Disney. We've both been to America before, but we've never been to Florida, so it's just super exciting to be able to experience that together and for our honeymoon. It's just a very, very exciting experience. If you want to hear all about my Florida trip that we've booked, it will be up in the little link at the top here, so you can go ahead and watch that, and I'll also link it at the end of the video as well. I can't stop thinking about the fact that in order to go to Florida, I have to get on a plane. I don't do planes. They terrify me. I don't really know why. That's a lie. I do know why, but there's nothing I can do about it. I don't like the fact that you cannot get out. You can't escape. I don't have claustrophobia. I wouldn't go as far as to say that it's not that intense as a fear, but in any situation in life, I like to know that I can leave. I like to know that I can get out. I like to be at the end of an aisle in a theatre or a cinema, in case for some reason I need to leave. I'm not then a hindrance to other people. I can just get out. I like to know if we're going on a long drive that you can stop and get out and have a walk. And it's just things like that. I don't like the idea of being in an enclosed space for a long time where I can't leave. I'm perfectly happy to spend 9 hours in my house, like without going outside, that's fine, but because I have the choice of going outside, I'm okay with that. But you can't go outside in a plane, because if you go outside, you die. It also makes me very uncomfortable that we are stranded 40,000 feet in the air in a metal tube. Like that, I don't understand the physics of it, so that makes me uncomfortable as well. But it is really the not being able to leave, not being able to get out, that makes me the most uncomfortable. So because we'd booked our trip to Walt Disney World and I knew that the flying would be an issue for me, it would be something that would be playing on my mind for months and months and months, and the lead up to the honeymoon would just be me thinking about getting on a plane. And I just thought, what if I spend the entire 2 weeks in Disney thinking about having to go home on a plane? Like, I didn't want to have to feel like that. So I did what I always do when I have an issue, and that was take it to Instagram. So I asked all of my beautiful Instagram followers to send me suggestions of things that they do or things that other people that they know do, to entertain themselves, keep themselves busy, and to cope, I suppose, with a 9-hour flight twice in a few weeks. And the amount of responses I got was overwhelming. They were either from people who are absolutely fine with flying and they kind of say, oh, this is what I do, it's actually kind of chilled, it's alright. Or actually the other ones which were super helpful were the ones from people who struggle with flying as well, and they came in with all these responses saying, this is what I've done, I can still go to Florida even though I hate flying. And I got like 40 responses in the first hour, and then they just kept coming. So a lot of them are repeats of each other, so obviously they're common techniques that people use, so I've put them all down on my phone and I kind of am just going to share them with you now. It is worth saying, this is obviously tailored to me going to Disney, and me having a fear of flying and trying to get to Florida, but this works for any trip, any long haul flight, even any short haul flight. The last flight I went on was to Bordeaux, so it was London to Bordeaux, and that was about an hour and a half's flight. I was I was fine on that. I didn't enjoy it, but I was fine because I knew it was only an hour and a half. And then the previous flight before that was Italy, and that was 3 to 4 hours, something around there. Before that, Maine, which is where this top is from. So flew to Maine, again from London, it was Heathrow, and that was about 6.5, 7 hours, something like that. But Florida, for me, next year is going to be 9 hours. I think the worst thing for me at the moment is the fact that when we came back from Maine, it was about 6 hours, and in the middle of that we had some intense turbulence. My dad has flown his whole life. He used to work for a lot of big companies, one of them being Disney, and in his travels with those companies he flew a lot, and he did lots of long haul. He flew to America quite a bit with all the companies, and he was absolutely fine with it. He's never had an issue with flying, and he said that the turbulence on the way back from Maine was one of the worst he has ever experienced. And obviously I survived, I'm here, nothing awful happened apart from the awful turbulence, but that kind of shook me, and I was crying and I was holding my mum's hand, and this was only a few years ago, like I was in my early 20s. But it was the most horrific experience, and I basically didn't want to get on a plane to Italy after that. That's kind of my story with flying. Everyone else has different stories, everyone else has different experiences. Some people haven't been on a plane at all but don't want to do it because they're scared, and some people have been on it and had awful experiences. So hopefully all of these tips that I'm about to tell you will be really helpful for anyone that's in this situation where they are struggling. So without further ado, here goes. So the most common response that I got from people on Instagram was watch movies. This was one I'd already thought about. I'd already kind of thought, hey, let's make sure we've got lots of movies to watch. Either the ones on the plane or the ones that I choose to download onto a tablet or something beforehand. But I want to make sure I have movies to watch because, you know, if a movie's about 2 hours, by the time you've watched 3 movies and had your lunch and maybe read a bit of a book, then maybe it'll be time to come back down again. To me 9 hours seems like a long time, but maybe watching movies is going to help. So movies was a really common one. Another person said make sure you watch a funny movie. It's something that kind of distracts you, it's light-hearted, it makes you laugh. So comedies apparently are the way to go. The reason being, I feel that if you watch something that's intense, something like an action movie, a disaster movie would probably be the worst thing to watch. Things where things are blowing up and stuff, you know, it doesn't really create a good picture in your mind, whereas a funny movie is going to be one of those things that makes you laugh, it relaxes you slightly. So I enjoyed that tip as well, funny movies. A lot of people said for the flight coming home from Florida, again, depending on where you're going, depends on what the flights are, but coming home from Florida is usually an overnight flight. So they say make sure you tire yourself out on the day that you come home. So then when you do get on the plane, you can potentially try and sleep. Some people might be able to do it, some people might be able to sleep on transport, but I just can't. I would think about possibly taking sort of a sleeping tablet before I get on a plane. But my brother once did that. He was coming back from Canada on a business trip, and he took the tablet like as he was getting on the plane, and then it didn't kick in for another like 2 hours, and then he couldn't really sleep because there was like food coming or something, and I actually ended up falling asleep in the taxi on the way home. So yeah, I have to make sure I time it right if I took a sleeping pill. But yeah, try and get some sleep is one of the other things that definitely came up quite a lot. So someone else said that flying makes them feel really nauseous and really sick, and I can completely agree with that. It's not necessarily the movement of the plane that makes me feel sick. It's the anxiety. It's the anxiety of being enclosed and not knowing what's going to happen on the flight. So I can completely agree with the nausea sort of thing. And this particular person said that the anti-sickness bands, the little like wristbands that you get, apparently are really good. So it might be worth investing in one of them if you are someone that gets nauseous. I will certainly investigate them closer to the time. And someone else who also said she gets sick, not necessarily physically sick, but feeling sick, she suggested taking a pack of mints with her, which is something I am here for. If you know me, you will know that I have mints with me wherever I go. My go-to are the Trebor strong mints, because the kind of soft mints or polos are just, they don't do the trick, they're not strong enough. And it's a thing that I've actually passed on to both my fiance and my brother. They both now take strong mints with them wherever they go. If you feel nauseous, if you feel worried, if you feel tired, anything, have a mint, it works. So I will 100% be taking like a 7-pack of strong mints with me on the plane, and hopefully don't get pulled over by security. Another big trick everyone seems to have put is snacks and food, which again I am here for. People have suggested that the food on the flight is fine. Making your own snacks is a really good idea. Things that you like, things that make you feel happy. Someone suggested Percy Pigs because A, they're cute, and B, they're tasty. Or just any sweet that you are most happy with. So I would probably go with something like Haribo's or something like that, maybe Mao-Ams. Taking something like that because they make me happy, and it's nice to kind of suck on something when you're doing takeoff and landing as well, to help with your ears popping. So take snacks that you are happy with. Something else someone has said is Rescue Remedy, which is actually not something I've thought about before. I had Rescue Remedy when I was kind of a late teenager, in my early uni years, because I was very anxious about things, and it did help. I quite liked the taste, to be fair. Some people don't really like it, but I like the taste of the drops. And someone has said take 2 drops the night before you fly to kind of relieve that little bit of anxiety, and then take 2 drops before you get on the plane. Someone else has suggested paying a little bit extra for your onboard Wi-Fi, which is something that I actually have considered. I did think about that because I think it would help me to be able to talk to my mum. If I pay for the Wi-Fi, I could Facebook message my mum while I was on the flight, because I know that if I just chat to her, I could pass hours and it would be fine. And also it's nice knowing that she knows that I'm okay. I might be 40,000 feet in the air, but the fact that I'm talking to her, it would feel normal. So I feel like I would do that, and you might want to post on Instagram, stuff like that. If that's what your normal life is, then if you want to pay for the Wi-Fi, that's probably something that will comfort you. This next tip, this came from 2 people actually, 2 separate people, but this is honestly the best one that I think has helped me in the last couple of weeks when I've kind of been thinking about my journey, and I cannot thank these 2 people enough for the way that they've put it into perspective for me. So to the 2 of you, you will know who you are if you watch this, but thank you so much for this, because this is hopefully going to help other people as well. The way that they cope with flying is to break it down, break it into chunks. The actual message said literally break it down into films and meals. It sounds so weird, but it's like mini checkpoints. And that was incredible. It just meant that I could think of it like, oh, actually, hang on, 9 hours isn't as bad as you think it is. The last couple of days, I've been thinking 9 hours is a long time. If you think about, this is the time I wake up, 9 hours from that is when I'm having dinner. That just seems like such a long time. So I just thought, actually, yeah, let's break it down. If you break it down into sections, you take off, we'll call that half an hour, because by the time you've actually got all the way up, you know, and that's about half an hour. Then you might watch a film. If you watch a film, that's 2 hours, that's 2.5 hours. Then you might eat, that's another half an hour, that's 3 hours. You might then watch another film, that's 5 hours. You might then read a book for an hour, that's 6 hours. You might then eat, again, like your afternoon tea sort of style, that's then another half an hour. Then you watch one more film, and then you're down. So dividing it into little chunks is actually really, really helpful. It's 3 films, a book, 2 meals, and you're down. And then it seems achievable. Also, thinking back to the previous thing about the Wi-Fi, I would probably aim to message my mum every hour. So if we flew at 10 o'clock, I'd message her saying, off we go. At 11, I'd be like, 1 hour in, 12, 2 hours in, etc, etc, etc. So I feel like that would be quite helpful for me as well, because then I only message my mum 9 times and then I'm done. So yeah, just little checkpoints like that. That was such a helpful thing for me to read and to go, hang on a minute, this might be achievable for me. So the person that said about Rescue Remedy, it just makes me laugh. The person that said about Rescue Remedy, his fiance also replied to me with a very different answer, which was, get drunk, it helps with my fear. So there you go. That was that's 2 different people in one marriage. Get drunk, I don't necessarily want to recommend, because obviously that can cause its own issues, but if there is something to say about having a little bit of something to relax you before you go on the flight, or on the flight, it might just help a little bit to kind of ease those anxieties. There are medications that you cannot mix with alcohol because then they don't work or they have side effects, so please check before you do that. We've got boiled sweets. Boiled sweets are good for when you land and your ears will pop, so that's always helpful, stuck in a boiled sweet. A lot of people have said to listen to music, which is, I guess, yeah, very useful. Get some music that you enjoy, have a little sing-song. And noise cancelling headphones are a big thing as well on this list. Noise cancelling headphones, because then you can't hear the sounds of the plane, you can't hear other people, and you can only hear your film or your music. So that's kind of quite a big thing probably to go on my shopping list or my Christmas list. Said to my parents, please get me some noise cancelling headphones, thank you. Mum, if you're watching. Another big thing, as well as downloading films to a tablet or phone that you want to watch, another person has said download Disney vlogs, and actually this is such a big thing. Like, me and Ryan can both watch Disney vlogs for 9 hours straight, that's fine. That's not a problem. So actually downloading some Disney vlogs, it would help with the excitement, and it would also help just to pass the time because we love watching them. And we could watch them together with a headphone splitter, and it would be very cute. Honeymoon vlogs as well. Honeymoon vlogs that we would watch over and over and over again are Sophie and Dave's, Jade Billington and Matt and Yaz and Ash. All of those we absolutely adore. And watching their honeymoon vlogs would obviously make us excited for our honeymoon, so it's possible that we might just download all of theirs and watch them. Someone else says travel-sized games. If you're travelling as a pair, then you can play stuff like Uno and the little travel Trivial Pursuits that you get, stuff like that. So that's a pretty good idea. We have a Harry Potter one and a Friends one, so we could probably fill some time doing that. Adult colouring books, that came up a lot as well. They're quite relaxing, they pass the time. You can also get Disney ones, so that would kind of work for us and our trip. It is worth pointing out, by the way, Ryan has no issues with flying. He's absolutely fine with it, he's chilled. It's literally just me, and he is nice and supportive of obviously my fear as well. Someone has said that they would recommend getting up to stretch your legs and have a little walk around. For other people that might be okay, but for me, I don't like walking on a plane. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable that I'm walking in midair. I'd rather be sitting in midair. Actually, I'd rather not be doing anything in midair, if I'm completely honest. Between sitting and walking, I'd rather sit. So for some people, walking might be a good idea. Obviously, I will have to go to the toilet at some point in 9 hours, but it wouldn't be a choice of mine to get up and walk around. Someone has said that you can book fear of flying courses online. I haven't considered it. And unless it gets super bad, I probably won't consider it, but it might be really helpful for someone. You can do courses online, and I have heard that they are amazing. I'm also in a Facebook group called Fear of Flying or something along those lines, and people have told stories, and it's really, really helpful to get other people's point of view of how they got over their fear of flying. So I'm not sure I'd do a course or anything like hypnotherapy just now, but I think it would be super helpful for some people to be able to know that those things are out there if they need them. Okay, someone else has said learn about the plane because it will make it less scary if you understand. I completely get that. I would like to know why that is making that noise. Why is that clunking? Why is that whirring? And actually it is quite helpful to learn about the plane. I have a friend whose husband is cabin crew for the RAF, and she kind of said, if you need anything, then let me know. And I was like, actually, that's super helpful. If I have any questions about the plane, I can ask her. So yeah, definitely kind of check out what's going on. And from my point of view, if the cabin crew are okay, we should be okay. And that time coming back from Maine, the cabin crew had to strap themselves in, and at that point I was like, okay, something is happening. But every other time I've been nervous, the cabin crew have been serving coffee, so I don't see why I was nervous, because they're not. So sometimes it's just worth learning some things and thinking about the fact that if other people aren't nervous, maybe you shouldn't be as well. Someone else has said melatonin gummies, which is something I've never considered, but melatonin is basically like the non-addictive sleeping tablets. It can make you feel sleepy and can help you to sleep without actually becoming a medication, you know, so that could be quite helpful to consider for some of you. Someone else has said take a book that you're keen to read. You know, if you're really excited to read a particular book, wait till the plane and then start reading it, because then you'll get into it. This is my own tip, this is not from anybody else that suggested it, but I am quite into Audible. I quite like audiobooks. Some people like podcasts as well, so potentially take some of them. And from my point of view, Harry Potter makes me happy. So I think what I'll probably end up doing is downloading the first Harry Potter book, which is about 13 hours long, or 11 hours or something like that. So it's more than enough for the flight, for at least one flight. So perhaps I download numbers 1 and 2 and listen to them, because I could probably get into a Harry Potter audiobook and it would just make me happy. So that's something I've definitely considered doing as well. So take a book that you're really interested in reading or potentially listening to. Someone else has said flight socks or compression socks. I actually have some of them and I will be taking them with me because my legs get really painful. So that is a pretty good thing to do. A neck pillow. One of these. This one's just from Primark, but you know, it keeps your neck in place. But a lot of the airlines now have pretty good like supports at your head, so some of you might not need a neck pillow, some of you find them uncomfortable, but they're pretty good to do. And someone else has said puzzle books, because puzzles, they get your brain going. It means you don't have to think about other things that might be making you nervous, but definitely kind of take something that will distract you, and puzzles are a really good thing for that. And another thing which I have tried to convince Ryan is a really good idea, and he's not really into it, but you know, we'll see, is to upgrade your seats, upgrade your flight. I am pushing for premium because from my point of view it will make me so much more comfortable. It's a slightly bigger space. We want to fly with Virgin, which obviously if you've seen the news recently, it's a little bit hit and miss at the moment, but hopefully by the time we go next year it'll all be kind of settled again. But I'd like to fly with Virgin. I'd like to fly in one of the little bubbles, the kind of second tier up, because it's smaller, it doesn't make the plane feel quite as big. And if you fly in premium you get to sit in a 2-seat rather than a 3. And if I'm scared, if I'm anxious or uncomfortable, having a random stranger next to me is not going to help me at all. And I like to have a window and Ryan likes to have an aisle, so having the two of us in one seat in premium would be just awesome, because I get the window, he gets the aisle, and there's no other person there. You just have a little bit of a bigger seat, it's a bit more comfortable, and I also would really like to kind of choose my seat as well. Choosing my seat would be a big thing, and I am likely to want to choose the front row, because it means that I've got a wall in front of me and not another person, and I think I would rather have a wall, because it just makes me feel like there's less people around, and having lots of people there makes it feel like the plane is huge, and how is it going to get into the sky if it's huge? So just these little things, thinking about what makes you uncomfortable and thinking about how you might be able to solve it, those are really helpful things to be considering in your mind. Someone has said avoid caffeine 24 hours before the flight, which is something I'd never thought about. I don't drink caffeine anyway. It doesn't agree with my body. So the reason is it could trigger anxiety, like it kind of gets you going really like excited but also really nervous. So potentially cutting out caffeine 24 hours before could help you a little bit. Also, if it means you want to sleep, that could also help as well. comfy clothing, fluffy socks, all the kind of things that make you feel at home and comfortable and relaxed. Another good tip, which is something that I will definitely be doing, is researching what movies are on the flight before you go, just so you're prepared and you're ready and you kind of can then plan which movies you want to do. The worst thing for me would be getting on the flight and finding that there's nothing that I want to watch, because then I'd be like, what do I do for 9 hours? Whereas if I know what's happening with the entertainment, I can then potentially plan to download some things if I want to. So yeah, definitely kind of plan ahead for that if you're a planner. And this one is something for those of you who are in this situation in life, but someone has said that she's a really nervous flyer, but actually having her little girl there with her makes her flight a lot easier, because she's focused on her little girl and not on herself. And my mum has always said that to me. She doesn't like flying either, but she said the fact that she had us as kids meant that she had to focus on us, and she couldn't be scared, because if she was scared, we would be scared. But as I got older, I obviously realised that she was scared, and I was as well. But yeah, if you have kids or you have someone or something else to focus on, then you can't be scared, I guess, because you're too busy focusing on them. And if you are scared, it's not at the forefront of your mind. One of the biggest things that someone has said that I'm like, yeah, okay, I get what you mean, is, in effect, get over it because you have to do it. They didn't say it like that, they said it much politer than that. But it was if you want to go on holiday, you have to get on a plane. And I was like, yeah, I do. I know that. I don't want to, but I know that. And I think the flight that I'm most nervous about is coming home, because on the way there, you're excited to go to Disney, you're excited to be there, you're excited to experience all this stuff. But on the way back, that's all gone, and you have to then sit through an 8.5-hour flight just to come home again. And I guess it's just one of those things to think about, is when you go, you'll have a great time. When you come back, you get to be in your own bed again. So maybe that's something to think about. But it is a means to an end. It's 9 hours. And you have to do it in order to go, and the very few amount of times that anything goes wrong on a plane, it's just so minimal, and the amount of times that things go wrong on the roads is far, far bigger. And as much as I think about that, it doesn't really help, but for some people it might. Things are not going to go wrong, and they just don't. And hopefully, you know, that will help me. At the end of the day, if it's something that is a crippling anxiety that you can't help, go to your doctor. Go to your doctor and say to them, I need to go on some sort of a flight and I need to do it in a few weeks' time. What can I do? They will be able to help you the most. They'll be able to tell you ways that you can relax, or potentially give you something to relax you. I would not use that as your first port of call. I would not say, I'm scared, let's go to my doctor. I would try other things first, but if it really doesn't help, then that would be my suggestion for you all. I really hope that some of these suggestions have helped you all. Please let me know if they have, and do comment down below any other suggestions that you might have for people watching this video. There's a lot of people that are looking forward to watching this because they are scared themselves, but I really hope that some of these do help you get on a plane and go to your next destination. I will certainly be using some of these for my own benefit next year when we go to Walt Disney World. For now, thank you very much for watching, and happy flying for when you next get to go on a plane to your next destination. And I will see you all next week for a new vlog. Thank you again for watching. Bye bye.